Is Australia's high-speed rail dream finally becoming a reality in 2025? After decades of delays, the government is pushing forward with plans to connect major cities along the east coast. But with challenges ahead, will it truly transform the transport landscape? From Sydney to Newcastle and beyond, what's really happening with the high-speed rail plan? Today, we're diving into the key updates for 2025, from the government's push to the ongoing challenges faced by the project and the potential benefits for Aussie travellers. In 2025, Australia's long-awaited high-speed rail project is gaining serious momentum as the government moves ahead with major developments to connect key cities. The establishment of the High-Speed Rail Authority, HSRA, in 2024 was a significant step in formalising the commitment to high-speed rail in Australia. The HSRA is tasked with overseeing the design, funding and delivery of the entire project, ensuring it meets the growing demand for more efficient, sustainable transportation solutions across the nation. Both federal and state governments have shown a renewed commitment to the project, with increased investments to cover the initial phases of construction and research. The government is prioritising the development of the first high-speed rail corridor between Sydney and Newcastle. This corridor is seen as the most feasible to start with, offering a reduced travel time of around 1 hour compared to the current journey of over 2 hours. The early construction phases, including site assessments and geotechnical investigations, are already underway in Newcastle. 2025 also marks a year of significant milestones for the project. Testing and feasibility studies are set to begin on other key corridors, particularly the Melbourne to Sydney route, which remains the most ambitious and highly anticipated. The HSRA has set out to have business cases for these corridors ready for review by the end of 2025. This will provide crucial information about the costs, funding sources, and environmental impacts of the planned routes. As we move through the year, we can expect updates on public consultations and community engagement efforts as the project moves forward. These will offer a clearer picture of the community's thoughts on station locations, potential disruptions, and the broader impact on local economies. The timeline for funding approvals and construction phases is anticipated to be confirmed in the latter half of 2025, paving the way for what could be a transformative shift in Australia's transport infrastructure. The Sydney to Newcastle corridor has been identified as the first priority for Australia's high-speed rail project for several key reasons. The relatively short travel distance, approximately 160 kilometres, makes it the most feasible and manageable segment to kickstart the high-speed rail network. Unlike longer routes such as Melbourne to Sydney, which require extensive planning and resources, the Sydney to Newcastle corridor is a more straightforward starting point, allowing for quicker implementation and testing. Additionally, there is a strong existing demand for improved transportation options along this route, as the current travel time of over 2 hours can be frustrating for commuters and travellers alike. High-speed rail promises to cut this down to about 1 hour, offering a much-needed boost to regional mobility. From an environmental perspective, the Sydney to Newcastle corridor is also a perfect fit for the project's sustainability goals. By offering a cleaner, zero-emission alternative to air travel and car journeys, high-speed rail is in line with Australia's push to reduce carbon emissions and promote more sustainable modes of transportation. With ongoing concerns over climate change and pollution, the environmental benefits of the rail line are hard to overlook. Currently, there are several developments taking place in this corridor. Geotechnical investigations and site surveys are ongoing to assess the land and determine the best locations for rail routes, tunnels, and stations. These assessments are critical to understanding the terrain and ensuring that the rail line is built with minimal disruption to the environment. Planning for the road and tunnel infrastructure is also progressing, with detailed designs being worked on by engineers. A cost analysis for this segment is expected to be completed soon, which will give a clearer picture of the financial viability and funding needs for the first phase of the project. The cost of Australia's high-speed rail project is one of the most debated aspects of the plan, particularly for the Sydney to Newcastle corridor. Current estimates place the cost of this segment at around $10 billion, though this figure could rise depending on the results of ongoing site surveys and geotechnical investigations. Projections for the total cost of the entire high-speed rail network, which includes the Sydney to Newcastle route and other corridors, are considerably higher, with some estimates reaching as much as $100 billion over the next few decades. These numbers are certainly eye-catching, but they need to be considered in the context of similar global high-speed rail projects. For example, The UK's HS2 project, designed to connect London with the north of England, has an estimated cost of £100 billion, illustrating the high price tag associated with such large-scale infrastructure developments. When compared to international projects, Australia's figures are in line with global expectations, but they are still a significant burden on public finances. For taxpayers, this cost raises important questions. How much of the project will be funded by the government, and how much will be passed on to the public through taxes or future fare increases? The long-term financial impact on the nation's economy remains a topic of concern, especially given the already strained state and federal budgets. The government has committed to seeking a mix of public and private investment, but the exact funding model remains unclear. Economic and social feasibility studies provide a clearer picture of the potential benefits. Economic impact projections suggest that the high-speed rail project will create thousands of jobs during construction and in long-term operations, providing a significant boost to local economies along the rail corridor. The social benefits are also substantial. By improving travel times, the rail line will reduce congestion on roads and at airports, benefiting both regional and urban populations. Additionally, the environmental impact is a major positive, as the project will provide a cleaner alternative to car and air travel. Once the Sydney to Newcastle corridor is operational, the next big step for Australia's high-speed rail project is the expansion to other major cities. The long-term vision includes connecting Brisbane to Melbourne, which would create a truly nationwide high-speed rail network. These routes would provide Australians with a fast, efficient, and sustainable way to travel across the eastern seaboard. With a projected timeline extending well into the 2030s, the next phases of development are crucial to transforming the nation's transportation infrastructure. The High-Speed Rail Authority, HSRA, will play a pivotal role in overseeing this massive project. As the central body managing the design, construction, and funding of these rail lines, the HSRA is responsible for coordinating efforts across federal and state governments, private sector investors, and various stakeholders. Their responsibility will be to ensure the timely and cost-effective expansion of the network, keeping the focus on maintaining high standards for environmental sustainability, passenger safety, and operational efficiency. An extensive high-speed rail network promises significant benefits for Australia. The environmental impact is one of the most compelling reasons for expanding the rail system. With the aim of providing zero-emission travel, high-speed rail offers an alternative to car and air travel, both of which contribute heavily to Australia's carbon footprint. As the country faces increasing pressure to reduce emissions and combat climate change, high-speed rail provides a much-needed solution that aligns with sustainability goals. In addition to its environmental advantages, the expansion of high-speed rail will revolutionize how Aussies travel, making long-distance journeys faster and more accessible. For example, the trip from Brisbane to Melbourne could take as little as 3 hours, cutting travel time significantly compared to flying or driving. The boost to regional economies will also be considerable, as cities along the rail network gain easier access to larger markets and tourist destinations. In short, 2025 marks a crucial year for Australia's high-speed rail project, with the Sydney to Newcastle corridor leading the way. With government backing, feasibility studies, and planned investments, significant progress is expected in the coming year. The broader vision of connecting major cities along the East Coast could transform travel, not only in terms of convenience, but also in driving economic growth and reducing environmental impacts. Looking ahead, high-speed rail promises to reshape the future of Australian transportation, offering sustainable, efficient, and accessible travel for Australians. If the government can keep the momentum going, the dream of high-speed rail could soon become a reality. As we watch the project unfold, it's clear that 2025 is a crucial year for high-speed rail in Australia. Let's hope the government can keep things on track and bring this long-awaited dream to life. Stay tuned for the next update.